All right, Niners fans, let's dive into what's really going on in San Francisco right now. The energy around this team is wild, and not necessarily in the way anyone was hoping for. The 49ers have been hit hard, again, by that old familiar curse: injuries. Just when things were looking solid after a dominant defensive outing against the Atlanta Falcons, the news hit like a punch to the gut. Bryce Huff, who's been a monster all season long, is now sidelined with a hamstring issue. And this isn't one of those, oh, he'll be back next week type of injuries. No, this could linger, and that's exactly what this team doesn't need right now. What makes it even more frustrating is how this pattern keeps repeating itself for the Niners. A guy plays lights out, helps the team win, walks off the field looking perfectly fine, and then the next day, Kyle Shanahan steps to the podium and drops the bomb. He's out for weeks. Huff absolutely wrecked Atlanta's offensive line. Helping San Francisco rack up 22 pressures on Michael Penix Jr., he's been a difference maker every single week since joining the team, bringing intensity and explosiveness off the edge. Now, with a hamstring injury, the 49ers lose yet another key piece in a defense that's already missing its heart: Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Let's be real here. At some point, this becomes more than bad luck. The Niners are running out of bodies. The current list of available defensive ends looks more like a preseason depth chart than one from a Super Bowl contender. Mike Williams, Sam Okwonu, Travis Gibson, Robert Beal, and William Bradley King. Talented players, sure, but not the kind of depth you want when you're about to face a team like the Houston Texans, who might be inconsistent but are still dangerous. If you're John Lynch, you're probably picking up the phone right now, looking for a trade that brings in someone who can make an immediate impact. Because it's one thing to survive without Bosa and Warner for a stretch. It's another to lose your breakout pass rusher too. Bryce Huff has been one of the best stories on this Niners roster. This season, he's put up elite numbers: 4 sacks, 15 hurries, 19 total pressures, and earned one of the best PFF grades on the entire defense. His explosiveness, his bend around the edge, that quick first step, he's been the kind of player who completely changes the momentum of a game. And now, that's gone, at least for the next few weeks. This defense will have to dig deep, and once again, it's all about next man up. Sam Okwonu was impressive against Atlanta, registering 5 pressures and a sack, while young guys like Alfred Collins and Jordan Elliott showed flashes. But now, those flashes need to turn into consistency. And speaking of consistency, let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention: the offensive line. Matt Hennessy stepped in for Jake Brendel against the Falcons, and honestly, that might have been one of the quiet success stories of the night. Brendel, who's been solid but unspectacular, went down with a hamstring injury, and Hennessy took over in style. He looked quick, confident, and technically sound, giving the interior offensive line some much-needed stability. No sacks, only 1 pressure allowed, and a near-perfect pass block efficiency rating. That's not something you ignore. Maybe this is the change that brings a little extra spark to the Niners front. It's wild to think about how this offensive line, which has been under the microscope all season, might finally be turning a corner just as the defense takes another hit. Hennessy's performance stood out, especially against a tough Falcons front that's been one of the most improved units in the league. And if he can build on that, the Niners might have found something special, a center who fits the athletic, quick-hitting style that Kyle Shanahan loves. Dominic Pooney also deserves a mention. After some rough outings earlier this year, remember that game against Tampa Bay when he gave up 6 pressures and 6 hurries? He badly needed a bounce back, both mentally and physically. Against Atlanta, he did exactly that. The staff managed his knee injury throughout the week, cutting down his practice reps, and it clearly paid off. He looked fresher, more explosive, and more disciplined at his sets. For a second-year player who looked like he might lose his job, that's a massive step in the right direction. Now, here's where things get interesting. Even though the team is banged up, you can feel a shift happening in how the 49ers are approaching games, especially on the offensive side of the ball. For years, Kyle Shanahan's bread and butter has been the outside zone run. That stretch play designed to test the edges of a defense and open up cutback lanes for his running backs. But lately, something's changed. Over the past couple of games, San Francisco has dramatically reduced its zone running plays, dropping from more than 60% early in the season to just around 40% against Tampa Bay and Atlanta. That's a huge philosophical adjustment, and it's paying off. Against Atlanta, the Niners' run game finally looked alive. They averaged over 7 yards per carry on power and gap concepts, a far cry from the sluggish production that had them sitting near the bottom of the league in rushing yards per game and yards per carry. This was vintage Niners football, physical, violent, and efficient. Christian McCaffrey wasn't dancing behind the line looking for a crease. He was hitting holes decisively, getting upfield fast, and running through contact. You could tell Shanahan made a conscious effort to adapt, to lean into the physical strengths of his offensive line instead of forcing a scheme that wasn't working. For weeks, this offense felt predictable. Teams knew they were going to throw it, knew where the passes were headed, and knew the run game couldn't do much damage. But now, with this shift toward a more downhill, smash-mouth style of running, the entire dynamic changes. It gives the quarterback more breathing room, opens up play-action opportunities, and forces defenses to stay honest. It's the kind of balance that this offense has been missing all season, and if they can sustain it, the Niners could find themselves right back in rhythm at the perfect time. It's crazy to think that a small tweak in play calling could make such a difference, but that's what great coaches do. They adapt. Shanahan realized that his offensive line wasn't built to win consistently with finesse and lateral quickness. Instead, he's letting them play to their strengths, using more double teams, pulling guards, and letting them impose their will physically. It's the kind of adjustment that could reshape the entire offense down the stretch. The key now is consistency. One great performance won't mean much if the line can't hold up against Houston, especially with that defense hungry to rebound after an ugly loss. The Texans might not be an elite team, but they've got enough firepower to test a wounded Niners roster. Without Bryce Huff, without Boza, without Warner, the leadership and production will have to come from unexpected places. You can sense that this game coming up isn't just another regular season matchup. It's a test of depth, adaptability, and resilience. Every time the Niners have been knocked down, they've managed to find a way back. But now, the margin for error is thinner than ever. If they want to keep their Super Bowl hopes alive, this next stretch of games will define who they really are. The foundation is still there, the scheme, the talent, the leadership, but the challenge is monumental. Injuries have stripped them of stars, but not of their identity. The question is, can the backups, the young guns, and the new faces step up and keep this machine running? If the answer is yes, then this could be one of the most impressive stretches of coaching and team grit we've seen from Shanahan's era. What's fascinating about this current stretch for San Francisco is how it feels like a turning point, not just for this season, but for the team's overall identity. The injuries have forced Kyle Shanahan and his coaching staff to rethink the way they operate. Without Boza commanding double teams, without Fred Warner directing traffic in the middle, and now, without Bryce Huff terrorizing quarterbacks off the edge, the defense can't rely on overwhelming talent alone anymore. It has to depend on structure, discipline, and creativity. And that might be exactly what this team needs right now, a chance to rediscover the fundamentals that made them great in the first place. Look back at what made the 49ers defense elite over the years. It wasn't just superstars. It was communication, timing, and trust. Players flew to the football because they believed the man next to them was doing his job. That's what has to return now. You could already see glimpses of it against Atlanta. Even without the full roster of playmakers, the defense still found ways to pressure the quarterback and collapse the pocket from multiple angles. It wasn't flashy, but it was efficient. Guys like Sam Okwonu and Jordan Elliott played with fire, while young contributors such as Tatum Bethune and Chase Lucas made their presence felt with relentless effort. And that's really the theme for this stretch, effort. It's not going to be perfect. There will be missed tackles, blown assignments, and moments that make fans shake their heads. But if this group continues to swarm to the ball and play physical, they can still control the tempo of games. Robert Saleh, who knows this system better than almost anyone, has built a defense that thrives on energy. The challenge now is sustaining it without the stars who usually set the tone. On the other side of the ball, It feels like Kyle Shanahan has finally found a formula that brings back balance. For too long, the offense has leaned heavily on the passing game. When you have a quarterback throwing for over 300 yards per game, it's easy to get comfortable in that rhythm. But the Niners are at their best when their offense flows, when the run game and play action are feeding each other. You could sense that rhythm starting to form again against Atlanta. Christian McCaffrey looked decisive, powerful, and confident. Every carry had purpose, every cut had intent. The offensive line, for the first time in weeks, looked like it was moving as one unit instead of 5 individuals just trying to survive. Matt Hennessy deserved a lot of credit there. The timing between him and the quarterback was clean, the snaps were quick, and he seemed to command the center of the line with a calm presence. That might sound small, but it makes a world of difference. Shanahan's offense depends on rhythm and trust, and Hennessy seemed to restore some of that. If he continues to anchor the line and Pooney keeps trending upward, this offense might finally have the foundation it needs to play to its potential. The most encouraging sign from the Falcons game wasn't just the win or the improved running attack. It was the body language. You could sense the confidence creeping back in. The sideline wasn't flat. The communication was sharp. It looked like the team that everyone expected when the season started. And when that collective belief returns, it's contagious. Heading into this week, all the focus is on maintaining that edge. The Texans will test the Niners' discipline, especially with their play-action-heavy offense and a quarterback who can throw on the move. This means the linebackers and safeties have to stay honest. One false step, and Stroud will make you pay downfield. But if the defensive front can at least generate some consistent pressure and force him off his spot, they'll be in good shape. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around Levi's Stadium. And if the buzz proves true, the San Francisco 49ers might have just secured a game-changing piece for their defense. Well, JARIUS Sneed, widely regarded as a versatile and aggressive cornerback, is reportedly being positioned as the team's new CB1, a role that could instantly elevate the 49ers' secondary to elite status. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the organization suggest that coaches are already envisioning Sneed as the cornerstone of their coverage schemes. Sneed's arrival, or at least his ascension to the top spot, has ignited speculation among analysts and fans alike. Known for his uncanny ability to read quarterbacks and break on the ball with surgical precision, Sneed has long been considered one of the NFL's most underrated defensive backs. The idea that he could now anchor San Francisco's secondary has sent a ripple through the league, hinting a unit that could rival the top defenses in recent memory. With the 49ers' front seven already feared for its pass rush, pairing that pressure with a lockdown corner in Sneed could create nightmares for opposing offenses. Rumors also suggest that Sneed's chemistry with the rest of the defensive backs has been a key factor in this shift. Inside sources indicate that the coaching staff has been experimenting with different coverages and personnel groupings throughout the offseason, and Sneed's versatility has allowed him to thrive in multiple roles. Whether matched up against a speedy wideout or dropping in his zone coverage to confuse a quarterback, Sneed appears to have the instincts and athleticism to do it all, which might explain why he's being entrusted with the CB1 responsibilities. Of course, moving a player into such a high-profile position comes with pressure. Fans are already buzzing with questions. Can Sneed handle the spotlight? Will the secondary remain cohesive under the weight of expectations? The 49ers brass seems confident, however, banking on his combination of experience, agility, and football IQ to anchor the unit. If the rumors hold water, San Francisco may not just be upgrading a cornerback. They could be signaling the rise of an elite secondary that will dominate the NFC West for years to come. With training camp around the corner, all eyes will be on Sneed. Every step, every practice, and every preseason snap will be scrutinized as the team tests the waters with its rumored new CB1. One thing is certain, the NFL community is watching, and if Sneed lives up to the whispers, the 49ers defense may have just found its missing puzzle piece. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.